Thank you for subscribing to the channel. It's much appreciated. And for those who haven't subscribed yet, it would be much appreciated. And it won't take you a second. Thank you. Right, what I want to talk to you about today is cookbooks, making cookbooks, and can you use other people's recipes? Now, I got asked, it's over a week ago now, about my own cookbooks, because I do have cookbooks and I do like making them. And I like making cookbooks that are a little different. The recipes are a little different, say different. They're grouped together in a different way. And I enjoy it. It's a break from just constantly writing long form books, which, you know, I've been sort of putting off a little bit. A couple of books I've got there, and I'll have it every now and then. I'll have a break and I'll put a few recipes together in the book. Now, when I say put the recipes together, I'm not using my own recipes. Now, this is the problem that a lot of people have. Can you copyright a recipe? Can you patent a recipe, the ingredient list for a recipe? It's not a good idea. Now, for instance, you're looking at KFC, and KFC have their secret 11 different herbs and spices. I think it's 11, isn't it? And yeah, they're not patented. They're a trade secret. They're kept hidden away from everyone else. In fact, I think they're in a safe somewhere. They were recently moved to a different location. Now, there's other recipes that go out there that say this is it, this is what's in it, and it might actually have what's in it. But then, because, you know, a chemist could probably break down everything that's in the ingredients, but, you know, to what degree, to how much. And then there's the cooking process, and this is where KFC has made patents on the machines for doing the cooking process itself. Not that there's a patent on the process, but there's a patent on the machines, and not so much on the ingredient list. Because if you make a patent on your secret list, you're going to have to divulge what your ingredients are in order to get that patent. So that's not what they want to do. Now, Coca-Cola has trade secrets hidden away, locked away for its Coca-Cola, for the exact ingredient, for the process and everything else. And in the early days, I think it was actually cocaine, wasn't it? Maybe they're keeping it a secret because it's still cocaine. Who knows, you know. But I doubt that. But then again, if someone needs to inspect, a government official needs to inspect what's in this product for the safety of the people, how do they go about doing that? Because are they sworn to secrecy too? So it's a tricky grey area in a lot of ways. Google, with their ads, algorithms, you know, secrets, trade secrets. You can patent these things, like I say, but everyone will know about it. As soon as you put a patent out, you have to include exactly what's in it. And that's where they try to keep it quiet. So what happens if you get hold of the recipe for KFC? Well, if somebody stole it, or stolen it, and you've got hold of the recipe from that, then you could be in trouble for receiving stolen property, a trade secret. If, you know, they can connect the two somehow, that the person who stole it and who gave it to you. But other than that, if you happen to get to the kitchen and you started working with things and you came up with pretty much the exact same recipe as KFC, then you can start selling it. Now, on the screen here, what I've got is, there's a recipe here from deliciousmagazine.co.uk. It's got the ingredient list for a pie, smoked fish pie with butter bean mash. Now that sounds not something I'd want to eat. I'm not really one for fish pie. I don't mind putting it in a recipe book, for instance. But can I use this? Can I use this recipe? Well, you can, but you really need to be tinkering with it a little bit. Now, what you can't do is, for example, here's a section here of the cooking process. Now, if I copy that and put it into a template, say that I've just got ready for this, paste it in, and then maybe get another section and paste it in. I could leave room here for all the ingredients, for instance. Well, that would look quite nice in a book. The information is set out well. Now, if I do a spell check on that, I can change a few bits about where it says over a low to medium heat. I could put a low medium heat. The boil, it's a boil. Then I could remove that. Now here, that'll do for me putting it in here, but it won't do for me putting it into a book, because the chances are that will flag up. If that book is doing quite well, it's already, whether it's doing well or not actually, it's already got a copyright on it. And that's the wording. So that's not enough of a change, what I've just done there, to actually make a difference for plagiarism. And really what I need to do is, I need to break it down completely. So I wouldn't copy and paste all that. I would reword the whole thing. So where it says melt half the butter in a pan over low medium heat, I would put, say, over low medium heat, melt half the butter. That's changed everything straight away. So we know that first sentence won't pick up through plagiarism, because it's all about face, so but it still reads very well. Over low medium heat, melt half the butter. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, the ingredients don't have to be the same either. So if we go back to the ingredients on that, we can look at 30 grams of plain flour. Now you could put all-purpose flour if you wanted to, which is the same thing really. In the US they'll call it all-purpose flour maybe, we'll call it plain flour in the UK. Call it 35 grams. It might make a difference to the cooking. Or the butter, for instance, unsalted butter, 60 grams. Make it 55 grams of unsalted butter at room temperature. There's lots of things you can do. Leave things out. Add things. If, it says 2 times 400 gram cans of butter beans, drained and rinsed, make it 1 can or 1.5 cans of butter beans. Do you need a food processor or a blender? Maybe not. Can you do it by hand? Possibly. So maybe do that instead of having it blended. Yeah, so ideally you wouldn't take all your recipes from one book. You wouldn't basically copy, say, Jamie Oliver's Easter cookbook or whatever. You just wouldn't do it, because then that really is plagiarism. So whether you've changed all the little words about or not, because each recipe is in a series, you're not really going to get away with that. You could be up for being sued if your book did well. And you don't need to go down that road. There's a billion recipes out there. There's a infinite way of doing each recipe. Even Jamie Oliver's recipe, you can tinker them to death. But what you can't do is copy the recipe word for word. But what about images? If I went over to this image here and I save image as, the first thing is the image quality from copying it from the internet like that with a right click is not going to be anywhere near good enough really for your cookbook. You want it absolutely pin perfect. Now it looks great like that, but your copy might not be like that. And you don't want this image if it's come straight from the recipe itself. You want a whole new image. So look what I've done here. The recipe is smoked fish pie with butterbean mash. Now basically I've called it trout pie because I'm going to be using trout in my pie. And it could be smoked trout, it could be rainbow trout, brook trout, brown trout, whatever it is, but it's going to be trout. So straight away I've changed it. But where have I got my image from? Well, Canva. Now I have a premium account with Canva. And I'm not trying to sell you an account with Canva. So what I can do is I can go through, I can put fish pie. Now, because I've got a subscription, I've already paid for the images. So I can tinker with that. I can drag it about like I've done with this. Put it into position. Choose my layout however I want and the page size. Now, I've gone with 8.5 by 8.5. I have books at 8.5 by 11 inches. You can set them out however you want. You can have your images, if I just remove that there. You can have your images at the bottom and your text at the top. You know, you can, I've put a page number there just for show, but you could set it up any way you like. But keeping the high quality of image is important. Now, if you're not using Canva's images, you're not subscribed to that, you could probably go to Pixabay, and that's pixabay.com, and you can search their images there. Right, so here's an image of a pie, free download. We'll pick the best image we can, and we obviously put our details in to join. Now it's free to join, so put whatever it is you want in. Free for commercial use, no attribution required. That said, what we do is we go to the person who actually made the pie, and we credit them. There's the name, copy. Now if I just go back to this other one I already have, let's just say this is the person who created this image, and we'll paste that in. And it doesn't have to be that big, it can be small. You can put it down to about 10 or even 8, as long as you've credited somebody with that image. I mean, I think that's important, especially when you're using things like Pixabay, where everybody puts things up for free and either hopes that you give them a little tip, for a financial tip for the image, or at least credit them in the book that you're writing. Now, if the book does really well and you've only got 50, say, images in the whole of your book, it may be worth just passing a little something on to them. Yeah, so I hope all that helps and gets you underway to making your own cookbooks. Plenty of tweaking, plenty of word changing, plenty of ingredient changing, cooking method changing, and different images to the recipes. Don't get them all from the same book, and come up with an idea for a cookbook, like it could be something to do with vegans or whatever, and just pick all the recipes you want from the internet. And it could be a simple thing like an omelette, a vegan omelette, you know, and how many ways to cook a vegan omelette are there? The whole book could be on vegan omelettes. So, you know, you're spoiled for choice. And it's surprising how well cookbooks sell. So, yeah, give it a go.